morning, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Q&A. I know what you're thinking. Pete, what are you doing? You're not in your front room. You appear to be in some kind of trendy American diner. We've done the office up. Child, #1 interior designer, who also is available for home consultations, and she's very reasonable, and you want to jump on quick because I tell you, this kid's going places. She's going to outstrip me, I know she will. We decided to take the office on, so I'm upstairs, and it's normally just a ramshackle bit of a wooden desk and a few guitars and stuff like that. So we've had a little tidy up. I'm going to give you a little 360. Here we go, look. There's a desk over there. We bought that lamp. Well, Lisa did. I like the lamp. There's piano, gets very little use. And then this is kind of this booth affair thing. That was really smooth, that, wasn't it? It was like on a sort of a turntable. So I'm upstairs in the booth. It's dead cool. We got. Don't get me wrong. It's going very dandy having a dandy in logistics. Collected this from High Wycombe. Collected that from London. I went into London in the truck, but they paid. But in fairness, I had a job going in London trucks. They paid me. So yeah, we kind of getting the thing together. You know, as the company sort of takes off a little bit, I might be spending a little bit more time here. But in the meantime, and tonight, it's all about driving lorries. So. Introduction. Everyone that gave me, and there was loads of people, because I'm now taking on this Hermes Amazon what's it really like thing, and it was really nice to talk to you, Clive. There's Clive's the guy I met at the meeting, and he used to do Hermes, and he gave me the right lowdown on Hermes. But again, it's a video in itself, so we'll do a follow-up video. So if you've done all the comments, and that's fantastic, thank you. Also, a couple of you that have just started. We'll come down to that in fairness. We're going to do a video, new videos called Straight from the Horse's Mouth, which is where I put the question out, and rather than me guessing what's going on, a couple of you guys, like a couple of you have just started and have been kind enough to give us the lowdown of what's going on. That way, anyone who's thinking of starting, rather than listening to me who started 3 years ago, can get the actual lowdown from someone who started last week. So that was really useful and helpful, and I'm sure that'll come down with the guys. Thanks very much. So what we've done this week, PPE. Got myself some new PPE in. Still waiting for the refund on the first vest. But that went cheap either. But that's neither here nor there. Mark Harris says, he said, the folk behind you must think that fella's off his rocker. Talking to himself, waving his arms about, bobbing up and down, and trying to shake see through the hat. I don't know what that last bit means. Yeah, that's not the first time that happens, mate. You kind of get used to it. You know, when people turn around, you know, you're making a video and people pass by, you normally just go, hello, mate, making a video. Or something like that. Occasionally press pause, not, but yeah, no, it's you get used to it after a while. Jim Bob says, Pete the High Vis dancing man. Have you ever seen me dancing? Really dancing? Longfinger, he says nice vest. He says Snickers by far the best brand of PPE, not cheap but great quality. I had a look at them online. The thing I like about that vest is the fact that it's got the orange and the green, and as far as I can work out, I can't remember even what brand it is now. They're the only people that I've seen that actually do that. So I think there's I still say there is the Port West stuff is pretty good. But there is a massive gap in the market for someone who's actually making good quality, reasonably, you know, not cheap tatty high vis stuff. It might be a little bit dearer, but bearing in mind how often we wear it, you know, I'm not saying it should be like Armani prices, but at the same time there is definitely, you know, if you're going to get your wear out of it, like the boots, I'm happy to invest, like, you know. Craig MCG125 said looks decent. He likes reflective stripes on the body worn, but they're kind of cool because they're like chevrons. They go at an angle rather than straight. You know, I don't know where we get all this stuff from. He said, on a personal note, I can't help but think people wearing vests when driving along just looks untidy and unprofessional. Okay, I'm just a guy in a van, but when I look like I'm driving along, no need for vests in cabs. Now, that's an interesting subject. Let's see if we can have some response on that. Because bearing in mind, B.D. Holmes says, we just jumped to his thing. He says, Pete, sorry to be boring. Mate, not boring. This is kind of, you know, it's a very interesting point. He says, PPP high vis. On the previous job, we weren't insured unless the high vis was... unless he's in his class 2, was zipped up and fastened. Might be worth getting into the insurance to see if they're bothered. I had mine aren't. But for certain people, you know, the insurance on the lorry is null and void if they're not wearing a vest. I personally think it's a bit like when I drive along and I used to see people on their own in a car with the windows up, their mask on. I'm thinking, you don't need a mask on your own in the car. You're in a hermetically sealed unit, like, you know. And I also think basically you spend your life wearing a bin liner. I don't wear mine in the van. I get on site, I put it on. I get off site, I take it off again. You know, sort of, particularly when it's the summer and it's warm and it's humid and all that kind of stuff. Why am I going to be sitting in a plastic bag, which is effectively what they are? But each their own. I also understand it can be a bit of a pain getting it on and off. In the end, you just think, I leave it on, it's easier, like, you know. Tim Mitchell said, think Port Western Irish firm. Don't know. When I rung them up to say, do you want to sponsor the channel, and they didn't reply. I think she had like a mid-country accent, but don't know. Steve Athers, can you have a link to the vest? Again, I've forgotten who makes it. You have to go back to the video and Google it. But I did struggle to get it. That's the other thing. It's some kind of American firm, and I went on. I think I went on Amazon, and they only had like 2 vests in big sizes. I don't think it's like the boots. They're not always that easy to come across, like, you know. So Johnny Van Courier finishes. He said, "What a fashionista that Pete. He don't get out of bed for less than 7.5 ton." That actually made me laugh out loud. Thank you very much. Right, now we come to the part of the show, the urban trucker. My mate Nick, who's the seasoned professional. Sip of coffee there. Has been kind enough to do some responses to some of the stuff I put out there. So I'm just going to read this out, and quite a long one. So he says, "Hi Pete, thanks for mentioning." No problem. Thank you very much for taking the time to respond. Regarding the IR35, because we talked about the IR35, and it seems to have led to a lack of drivers. In fact, I'm not getting my green bins collected anymore, and the council has put that down to the fact that the COVID and a lack of professional, and they put it down as a lack of LGV drivers. I thought, that ain't LGV drivers, that's like a 26-ton truck. But that was on their website. I'm thinking, that ain't there. But so good to see that things are now starting to grind to a halt as a result of lack of drivers. Start paying them the money they deserve. IR35 rules, I understand them. If you're a small company with less than 50 employees, and someone else said that, it's like they said, I can work for you because you're only a little company, but if I have to work for Amazon or Tesco's or something like that, I can't do it. And it's, that was Welsh Trucker Chris. Hello, mate, how you doing? He said, I've got a company with less than 50 employees and a gross turnover of less than 10 million. You're exempt from IR35 legislation, and you can carry on using it's LTD driver. It was LTD, so the government website was right. Carry using self-employed LTD drivers without any liability for their tax or statutory payments. For larger companies that fall outside the requirements, then they have to tax the LTD driver at source at a higher rate, and then it's down to them to provide their own payment for tax and stoppages. So what he's saying is, for a lot of the drivers that used to work for the big firm, they're now losing, and Welsh Chris did actually say this, he said they're now losing so much in the form of tax, and it's also not always that easy to get themselves like self-employed and get themselves sort of on their own VAT and stuff like that. So he's going, I'm not playing this game anymore, I'm going to go and stack the shelves in Tesco's. So this IR35 has just caused a massive driver shortage. Where we go from this, I don't know. He said, your new operating centre in Coventry, we're going for the new one in Coventry, which you mentioned you're looking into. That would be in the east of England, as which falls into West Midlands traffic area. And it's worked out how much I have to show. To get a second operating licence, we need to have 30,500 in the bank. Because you've got to have the money for the first operating licence, which is 8,000 for the first truck, plus 4,000 for the next 2 trucks, and the same again if you want to launch 3 in Coventry. But we're getting there, and we're on to that one. So I will keep you abreast of the situation, as always. With the transport manager, we're going to try and get the same one. The thing is, this is all blocked out. It was in little individual bits, and it's gone down. Hold on a second. Yeah, that just goes on about the transport manager. Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much for your advice, mate, but it's probably academic to people out there. I should read this stuff, right? Not read it out. To the person asking about the redundancy thing, he said, I've got my redundancy money, thinking about joining on CX. He said, my advice to them would be save your redundancy money, don't touch it and go to work for someone as a van driver for 6 months or a year and see if you like the industry, the job. In that time, if you're doing it and you pick up stuff, you pick up some contacts, possibly potential customers in the future, find out more about work and where it's going, and then use redundancy money to set yourself up. That's okay. That's reasonable advice. I always say that if you are going to go for it, and I often am a big fan, I'm going to contradict Chris here, of the hold your nose and jump philosophy. Just spend as little as possible. Get the cheapest van that you can that works okay. Get the cheapest package on the CX. Get the cheapest insurance you can. And then if you find you need to upgrade it later, you can. And if you don't, at least you haven't lost much. But his advice, maybe go and running for a firm, with a firm, it stands. So, and lastly, regarding Ian Merrick's thing about the HGV buddy thing, he said, what a great idea. The industry should be doing more of this to promote it as help, and also it would help more money for drivers and, you know, more expense for drivers. So, Nick, thanks very much for your input there, mate. So, coolio. Right, we're now down to miscellaneous. HPB Services says, thanks for the tips, Pete. You're welcome, mate. Just about to start out my own, so the advice has been great. Just purchased CX and I felt I needed a portal to help me on my way. It was expensive for a small company, but being new to the game, you need a helping hand. I think with a lot of things, my mate Nigel's always said when he started out, he's like SEO, he does that, getting your name to the top of Google and all that kind of stuff. And he said, I've tried a lot of stuff. And I've done money on a lot of stuff, and it failed. If you want to, it's I think I've got a video coming out next week on unconscious incompetence. This is something my mate David Chris told me about, and it's like the 4 stages of learning. And it's a bit like you have to fail to learn. You know, you have to fall over. It's only by falling over do we learn to get up, Master Bruce. So it's just a matter of like, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of getting it wrong, because you're going to. And hopefully, this is why the channel's here. So you might be able to avoid a few pitfalls that you wouldn't have done if you think, oh no, I've seen this before and someone else has told me about this. I'm not doing this. That's kind of what we do, like, you know. But yeah, good luck with it all. I have, like I say. Oh, and also Craig125, Craig MCG, he said, I went live yesterday, quoted 10 jobs, got 3, priced keenly, and then followed up with a call. I'm new to the CX, but not the industry. Right, but for you guys, I'm going to do a video, it might not get out next week after. Kenneth McKenzie, MI5 Couriers, who's just started, and Barry Smith, videos. He's just started. He's tried the same day, but he said 50 jobs going at the peak period. Didn't get much, so he started on the CX last Monday. Have both given us really long sort of how it's going. So I'm going to do a straight from the horse's mouth video, and it's going to be entitled "People that have just started on the CX and how they're finding it," or maybe a slightly shorter, snappier title than that. And you can read about how they're getting on. So if you're thinking about joining the CX, rather than listening to me, although you will technically be listening to me and I could be making the whole thing up. I'm not, but I could be. You can read what other people think. And I'll just print it and read it out. So hopefully it will help. At least it'll give you some idea of what to expect when you start, I guess. Also, HPB Services said, more great tips to the bank. I've been wondering about weekend rates. There is a video, do a link, to running at the weekend and running in the evenings. It's not always that clever. You're kind of better off sort of 8 to 6 Monday to Friday, but the work is there if you want to do it. There is a video on that one. Steve Cunningham said it's the second video I've seen. You seem to be running bet. Honestly, not looking good, mate. Excuses, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. My friend, you've done what I had to do. I've done it my way. Steve, rest assured, mate, I take running very, very seriously. I messed up twice in a week, and it was the first infringements I'd had on my card in 3 months. I was not happy, particularly as one of them was like an utter schoolboy error. And the second one, I just not getting used to new hours. I'm pleased to say we're back on it again. Our infringement rate is under 1%. It's something like 0.902 or something like that, because the Taco Master kicks it off and tells you what it is. And it's not to do with the new operating license. I don't want to lose my operating license. We were working out a system. We've kind of got a system. It doesn't always work. 2 jobs a knock. Unfortunately, I was going to have Monday off because I've got MOT on the truck on Monday. I say Monday off. I've got to take the truck for MOT, but that was it. As it turned in, one of the drivers was waiting for 4 hours to get loaded on Friday. So that job has now got to be delivered at 7 o'clock Monday morning in Bedford. one of my drivers is off for a funeral. Harry, good luck with that, mate. His mum died. Sorry about that. It's hit him quite hard. So I hope he's all right and I hope it goes well. And the other one, Gordon's off for like the weekend. He's got like a sort of a weekend break. So I'm up again. I've got to transfer the load from the 18-ton onto mine and then take it up to Bedford, which I shall be doing. I'll do a video. I'll show you what it's like. Tail lift to tail lift. Coming to a YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, soon. Well, that's if it's not raining. Detecting Northampton says, what do you think about the national stay-at-home drives on the 23rd of August? I think the problem is going to be the fact that we're all kind of self-employed and we all kind of need to feed our families and all kind of stuff. And it's all well and good to say, right, we're going to stay at home. But then as a result, we say, oh, that's fine, you just don't get paid for the day. And I think there's also going to be a difficulty that some people might keep morals and go, I'm going to stay at home. And others will go, great, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to get more money because you're staying at home. So it's a bit like he's pushing in. Well, because he's pushing in, I'm pushing in kind of thing. Like, I probably won't adhere to it. I'll probably just go to work. I sort of, I don't know if it would make that much difference. If it was like a proper all-out thing, I'd do it, but it's kind of, in fairness, until you mentioned it, I didn't even know about it, so I will probably just go to work. So, sorry if that's wrong. We are onto it. He says, check out Cynic Truck. It's got a lot of subscription sat-nav, Android and iPhone compatible, not yet on Apple. I had tried it. I'll be honest with you, I tried it when it was the free version. It was, sorry, it was kind of okay. It was a bit clunky. And then I found out how much it was to subscribe to it. And I'm thinking, for the money that I've got to pay to subscribe to this Cynic Truck, I could buy a TomTom. I'm like, hold on, this ain't half dear. It's not like it's like, well, £5 a month. It was, I might have been, I don't know what it was. But so, again, I'm still using Waze at the moment. I'm still using Waze and trying to stick to the A roads. And then it says you've got to go for a pile of B roads, so I go for them anyway. It's only that once, but I clipped my running bars. I got a bit like, oh, but bearing in mind I've been running with Waze in the truck for probably getting on for 18 months now, and only once have I proper come unstuck. And even then I didn't proper come unstuck. It was just a bit, one day it's going to happen, but then one day I think it's going to happen anyway, you know. Rob Scott, he says, looking to get started, looking for a curtain-sided Luton with a tail lift. Struggling without paying a fortune. Which is more useful, curtains or tail lift? It basically, you can flip a coin on that one. The thing is, I'll do a video for you, Rob. I'll get a pen in a minute because there's quite a lot into it. But I would say the short answer is just get yourself a box Luton with a tail lift. That's what I started with, and then get the curtain fitted afterwards. But I will go into more detail on that because I think that's worth flagging up on its own. So thanks very much for the question. Kevin Porter, he says, you're saying sign-written vans are a no-no with the CX. Yeah, they are. But it's not the end of the world. I've done 2 videos on this because I did a video and then did the same video a week later because I forgot. But I'll do a link to one of them. Just have a little look through. But it's kind of, yes, they are frowned upon. But again, it's not really the end of the world, like, you know. Yorkshire's Daily Grind said, it's a major variation when applying for an additional operating centre. Major variation. I must have said the wrong thing. As it is, I can't even do a major variation because I'm out of area, so I've got to apply for a second operating licence. I will let you know how it's. I've done all the stuff on the computer. All we've got to do now is get the letter from the people we're parking it to say we're parking it, and then I've got to take the advert out in the paper and then download the PDFs of the bank statements and then submit. And I'm going to go for an interim as well, so hopefully we'll get it quicker. But I will keep you abreast of the situation. Dale Steele says, better get in a 3.5 ton curtain side wagon and drag. I don't know about that, Dale. Wagon and drags are fine if you're like importing flowers from Amsterdam and you pick them up in Amsterdam and you get them on the ferry and then you drive them to somewhere and then just unload them and then go back again. Otherwise, the whole idea of constantly having to take a trailer off because you can't back into a bay, it sounds ever so painful to me. You can put 2 pallets on that and 4 pallets on this, and then it sounds like grief. But you know, if that's the way you go, let me know how it goes. Brandon George says, what's everyone's fuel price? Brandon, that's a very good question, because I used to get texts with my fuel prices, and I haven't for ages now, and I keep meaning to go, why aren't you sending me how much I'm paying? Because I don't know. Which isn't good, is it, really? The American's having a heart attack over there with his play your fuel cards right on his channel over there. I hope that's going well for you, mate. I do, really do. In fact, if you want me to do a link or anything, like if there's no way I can link to it, let me know, and I gladly will, because, you know, if everybody knows what everyone's getting, maybe we'll get a better deal. I do know that I couldn't get to a BP because I pretty much use the BP all the time, and I had to go in Tesco's. Even Tesco's is crazy money. It was like 135 or something. I thought, when did that happen? So, I mean, I've been paying round about the pound, between £1 and £1.05, I think, without the VAT. So, I don't know what I'm paying at the moment. I've got to check it out. Useless, no, utterly useless. And we are on it again. It says, CX Freight Radar Map. Is it worth the extra subscription? I don't know. Oh, we haven't got it. We're going to get it, I think. When we had all the drivers, but now we've only got like, well, 2 and me, and I pretty much run myself. It's not really necessary, but if anyone is using CX Freight Radar Map, please let me know, and I can pass it on so we are on it. Finally, in conclusion, Godzilla says, always odd to see you at home, not on a Sunday. Yeah, I record these videos. If you see me sitting at home and it goes out on a Wednesday night, there's a very good chance that I recorded it on Sunday. I did that thing where I stop this video, go downstairs, change my t-shirt, put it into a different location and say, good afternoon, everybody. The magic of TV. A peek behind the velvet curtain. God almighty. Sorry. But yeah, chances are, I'm always working. Even on my day off, I am working. Yay! And Steve Campbell. The final word, as usual, goes to Steve Campbell. The nefarious Steve Campbell. The artful dodger of the piece. He says, you know why there's a lot of traction work in Middlesbrough, Sunderland and Newcastle? It's because tractor units keep getting stolen. Now I lived there for a little while, Steve. I lived in Middlesbrough for 3 years of my life. I've got to say, lovely, salt of the earth people. This myth that you're putting across. I know you come from there, but ooh, I don't know if your fellow countrymen would be inclined to agree with you. And finally, I left the first chart in Ferrybridge. Stephen, this is no good. You can't go on like this. But it does make me smile. Right, guys, I've got loads to do. There's a few going out next week. There's a few follow-up videos. I hope they ain't getting too dull. And in the meantime, from the booth, I think I'll order the pancakes with bacon and maple syrup. Nah, egg and a bacon and a bee. That's it. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care. Take money.